It's your boy Dirty Germa.
This is all mails from the critics. I just finished my interview at C.O.O.L Radio, and I'm just letting you guys know that you guys need to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. because this place is wild.
Of course! Don't touch that dial.
You miss your disc. You understand who you like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. You're now tuned into CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM C.O.O.L. And you're now tuned into C.O.O.L Radio.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
That's right. Your ass better call somebody. Tell a friend to tell a friend because we are live from the airwaves of the University of Toronto at Mississauga. You already know how we do. And before we get started, let me just tell you what's on topic for today's show. First of all, at the 8:15 minute mark, we got my homegirl, Inner Beauty CB, who is going to be talking about love and relationships. Around the 8:35 minute mark, this is where we get into the nitty gritty, ladies and gentlemen. We have Nicki Minaj in a Nazi uniform? What? We have Kim Kardashian naked again. And then we have some other stuff to get to as well. But before we get to all that good stuff, it's time to let that ish breathe, as I like to call it. So let's drop that real quick.
Let this bitch breathe.
That's right. It's a part of the show that you guys want me to, get some stuff off of my chest. And rightfully so, I got to warm y'all up. So let's get into it right now. First and foremost, shout out to the Toronto Raptors. I mean, in 20 years of existence, I have never heard of them being 7-1 in the Eastern Conference, okay? Not even that. They're 7-1 in the NBA, best record in the NBA right now. And hopefully they're going to rise that to 8-1 when they play the Chicago Bulls, which is happening right now, actually. So if you're not listening to the show, but you're watching the game right now, that's the only time I can accept that. But if you can multitask, or if you'd rather listen to the show than watch that game, you already know DM C.O.O.L loves you. You already know that. But go Raptors, go. We the North, you already know. And another thing that's on my mind right now, the party next door, okay? This guy was performing at the Sound Academy last night. And I was actually thinking about going to that show with one of my homegirls. It would be something different for me. I'm not really a fan of his music, but you know what? I'm open. Let's see what else he has in his catalog, because I've only heard about 2 or 3 songs from him. So I was all ready to go, and I asked her how much the tickets are. My girl tells me, yeah, the least expensive tickets, keyword least expensive tickets I could find were for $175. I'm sorry, what? $175 and you don't even have an album out? I'm sorry, but I saw Jay-Z, a guy, rapper guy, put out about 10 albums, 10 number 1 albums, married to the hottest chick in the game, wearing this chain, that Jay-Z owns a chain of businesses. And Kanye West, about 5-6 albums deep, most of them been in the conversation, a classic, married to a supermodel chick, that guy, egotistical maniac. Yeah, those guys performed together in concert, and I saw them for less money. All right, you're talking about 2 of the greatest rappers of all time performing at a sold-out concert at the ACC. This man is performing at Sound Academy, a place where you can't even get seats, beer, or even a booth, and you're charging stadium prices? What part of the game is that? Is that one of the perks that you get for being a signed artist on Drake's label? I mean, if that's the case, then Obi O'Brien should be performing for double the money at Hess Village in Hamilton. Maybe that's where he should go. I would love to be an artist on Drake's label so I could charge $1,000 and I could perform at the Oakville Amphitheater. Maybe I should do that. No diss to Party Next Door and his brand of ratchet and soul music, but the point is I'm not paying $175 for an artist who doesn't even have an album out yet. A mixtape, cool, but mixtapes are free. I can download that. There's nothing that merits a $175 ticket for an unsigned artist, no matter how great you may be perceived to be. That's just my opinion on the matter. And on that note, we gotta go to a commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up at the 8:15 minute mark, we got the lovely and talented Inner Beauty CB, who's going to be talking about love and relationships and all that good stuff. But before I get to that, we got to get to some Canadian content. And this one in particular comes by way of my man, Mr. Whoa Goliath Pa. Today is his birthday, so we figure, let's celebrate, champagne campaign, what have you. Off of his EP, Canary in a Coal Mine, this is Buried Alive. And we'll be right back after these messages. This is C.O.O.L Radio. Yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're now tuned into CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, GM C.O.O.L. And this is C.O.O.L Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. Now, as promised, around the 8:15 minute mark, we have our special guest of the evening. She is a blogger, and she talks mostly about all sorts of different relationships. We're talking about business, family, friends, and romantic. That's right, people. Coming straight out of the dot, the 6, the 416, whatever you want to call it, our beautiful city of Toronto. We are here with the lovely and beautiful and talented Casey Bradfield, a.k.a. Inner City CB. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here, and you're doing a fabulous job, so thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I am so honored that you are saying this about me. Thank you very much, and I do appreciate that. Before we continue, actually, let's get into the topics of today, shall we? So, first of all, we got to know, what made you want to become a blogger?
I started my blog about a year and a half ago, and I was really like at a difficult point in my life. Everything sucked at that point. I just graduated U of T, St. George, actually, and I had that crisis, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And so, I had some difficulties at home, and, everything just seemed to be crashing down on me. So I was like, I need to do something productive with my life. Mm-hmm. And so I started assessing the relationships that I had, and I said, you know what? If I had a better relationship with my mom, my life would be so much better. Yeah. If I had more, if I was talking to my friends on a regular basis, maybe if I had like a steady, boyfriend, mm-hmm. things would be much better. So I started writing, and I was like, how am I going to improve these things? And I started the discussion. How do we improve our relationships? And it has really progressed since then. I have a good relationship with my mom. I have a good relationship with my external family. I've been dating some pretty cool guys.
There you go. There you go. Swerve on them.
Yeah. And you know what? All in all, when I put my mind onto improving my relationships and trying to help people do the same mm-hmm. through my blog and through my writing, it's been going well. I'm very blessed to have started that blog, and it's my savior.
Absolutely. And this kind of ties to my next question, actually. So what inspires you to share your experiences with other people?
What inspires me is growth. Growth is always important to me, no matter what you're doing, whether it's work, career, life. You have to pay attention to it. And so what inspires me to write, sometimes I write some pretty, out there things. I wrote about sexual assault. The other day I wrote about, why men really call women crazy. I write about all sorts of things. And so what really inspires me is just, I know after writing this, I'm going to look back on it and I'm going to be like, I learned something from myself. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, someone else listening can say the same thing. So growth, helping other people improve. That's it.
Absolutely. Each one teach one, as I like to call it. Mm-hmm. Now, moving on now. One thing, when I was reading your blogs, a couple blogs here and there, and just hearing you speak even before the show, I thought to myself, you kind of have the characteristics of what's called an abbot. And basically what an abbot is someone who possesses wisdom and uses that wisdom to deliver it to people who could possibly use it for the future. So would you consider yourself, as such, as an abbot?
Wow. That would be a compliment. I just consider myself a human being who, it's my job to really help others. It's my job to speak out, and I'm just doing my job. But if you want to call me an abbot, sure, I'll take it.
All right, then. No arguments there. So you have a blog called Toronto Relationships. So basically, in your opinion, what makes the relationships within our city so distinct from others in other cities?
That's a very good question. I've only lived in Toronto, right? Mm-hmm. So really, what I've experienced in Toronto is craziness. At the same time, Drake talks about it a lot in his raps, where mm-hmm. You got that sort of Toronto haterism, mm-hmm. And it's a real thing. Toronto people sort of they'll appreciate you from afar, mm-hmm. right? And that I think that translates to our relationships as well, mm-hmm. right? And so because we're sort of we're on the outskirts, we're talking about it oh, this is this and this is bothering me, whatever, but we won't really come out and say it to the people that we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
We may not, why not just tell people what's on our mind? Why do we have, I think there's a certain I don't know, we take a step back and we sort of approach things sideways. Sometimes, not everyone does it, mm-hmm. but we just need to be more open, I mm-hmm. think, as a city. And it's funny because when you go elsewhere, they say, oh, Toronto people are so happy, they're so nice. And we are so nice and so happy.
Yeah.
But, sometimes it's we don't really say what we're thinking.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we're nice, we're happy, but, maybe back in the back of our mind, we're thinking, you're a jerk and you're an idiot. Mm-hmm. And we won't tell you that.
Yeah, you're a douchebag.
Yeah.
You're a real douchebag.
So Toronto Relationships is about even poking poking Torontonians to be really more open about things and more expressive. And so, like, why is it called Toronto Relationships? Because that's where I live. You know, this is the audience that I'm speaking to. We have our own unique problems that, like, we recognize, and let's deal with those now. Like, you know, one step at a time. Maybe one day I'll have, like, world relationships. Like, that would be great.
Exactly.
But today, TorontoRelationships.com.
Absolutely, and that's what's up. Now, let's make things a little more interesting, shall we? Let's dive into romantic relationships.
Okay.
So, my question to you is, do you believe in love at first sight?
I do not believe in love at first sight.
Okay.
Because I believe there's a relationship that's deeper than just that happens based on the physicality, right? So when you start to, like, you know, get to know a man and his mind, like, I'm a woman, so I'm getting to know a man, my man, right? So when he speaks, when he opens his mouth, you know, his body language, like, you could see his body language, but you can't see, you know, the depth of his mind, and that's very important for me in particular. So love at first sight is great. I can have attraction at first sight. I see a guy, like, you know, I see hot guys all the time, and I'm like, damn, like, I might be in love with you. Yeah. But
I quit the game for you, girl. I quit it. It's special.
Yeah, like, you think it's love at first sight, because your heart might be racing, you know, your pulse is up, you're getting all nervous or whatever happens to you. But that's attraction at first sight, and I appreciate attraction at first sight, but it's not love at first sight, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I can always get into that as well. I feel like a lot of people can get carried away with that just because of the messages that we're getting in, like, romantic sitcoms and stuff like that, just media in general. Not me, of course. You know, I am media and everything. But anyways, next question. So many people believe that the best relationships are the ones that are blossom out of friendship. But just as many believe that if you stay friends for too long, you can end up in the friend zone. So what's your take on that?
Interesting. Okay, so yes, the friend zone is real.
Trust me, it's real. I own vacancy within the friend zone, okay?
But how it happens, you want your partner to be a good friend. You know, you want to be able to talk on a level where you're open, you're honest, all that great stuff. And it usually happens when you're friends. It comes naturally when you're friends.
Absolutely.
But, you know, not all friends are meant to be together. And so, like, you know, there's got to be some people who are going to be in the friend zone and some people who aren't.
Exactly.
It's usually the people who are able to, I don't want to say convince you that they're the one for you, you know, but they're usually the ones who are upfront about how they feel. And then they put you in a situation they're like, I like you. And you're like, okay, I either have to stay his friend or or be with him or tell him no, right? And so a lot of people try to put you in the friend category because they don't want to tell you no, they don't want to say yes. But you gotta assert yourself and say, listen, like, I want to be with you, yes or no. And then that usually, like, either pushes people apart or pushes people together. And so, I don't know. I think that the friend zone's real, but I think that there are ways around it, and relationships will run its course. And when you're a friend, like, I don't know, it's difficult. It's difficult to say. It depends on the situation.
It really does, because, you know, it is important to be in love with someone that you start off as friends with, because you can confide in that person, and it creates that intuitiveness between one and the other. I guess with people's fears as far as the friend zone goes is if you build that friendship for too long and don't act upon it, you know, despite picking up a couple of the signs here and there because you never know, then it's like, okay, I'm going to be stuck in the friend zone because I didn't say something. I was too scared to say something.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the friend zone. You really have to speak out, or you're going to miss your chance, like with anything. Yeah. But, I mean, you should be friends with your partner. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be, like, friends for a year and a half before you date them.
And don't put a time limit on it as well, too. You can't do that. That's just corny.
You're right about that, definitely.
Yeah.
But try to have rapport with the person that you're dating before you get serious.
There you go. That's what it's about. I always say rapport, friendship, and then, you know, dating.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You're smart.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, you have a very interesting take on the dichotomy between expectations and standards. So please give us your take on that.
Right. Okay. So I wrote that piece, last week? And I was having an interesting discussion with a close friend. And he was saying, you know, when I go on a date, like, I hate when girls expect me to pay, and then they get all mad about it and it ruins the date. And I was like, that's so interesting, because I expect that on a date. I don't know if I can swear or not, but I expect it on a date. But the problem is, I realize, and I know that's my expectation, right? And so sometimes you'll go on a date, and they won't pay. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to go crazy, and I'm not going to walk out because he's not going to pay. I'll pay. It's not whatever.
Yeah.
I can handle my own, right?
Yeah.
It's just the expectation because you invited me on the date, so that's why, right? But standards versus expectations work like this. Standards they come way before you meet the person, and you can't put them on other people, right? Expectations are different in the way that you put them on top of somebody. They have to deal with it, right? And then you react to it accordingly on how that scenario plays out. Standards, like I said, go way before. So, even before you go on the date, you're like, I want a guy who, reads, a guy who likes to, listen to hip hop and, a guy who's funny. And then so if you meet a guy who hates hip hop and who's like never told a joke in his life, you don't go on a date with him. That's what a standard is, right? And so, like, you can't not have standards, and then you meet someone, and then you're like, wait, I expected you to be funny, I expected you to like hip-hop, I expected this. Well, how can you put that on somebody when you didn't have standards in the first place? It doesn't work.
Exactly.
They're two separate concepts, and one precedes the other, and standards comes first, and expectations comes second.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you one thing, actually. Are you familiar with the show Love and Hip Hop?
I actually don't watch the show, but I'm familiar with the concept.
Thank you. That's all I got to say. Thank you for not watching the show. Because that kind of ties into my next question. Based on, I guess, fragments of what you've seen at the very least, I happen to find that show somewhat exploits the intricacies of the relationships of said people, and then just putting hip-hop on the tagline of it just kind of diminishes what the art form is. So based on that, like, do you feel the same way, or like, what's your, brief assumption on that show, just based on the little parts that you've seen?
Well, I'd have to, I can't really comment on it because I haven't spent much time on it.
Fair enough.
But I guess reality TV in general, sort of, it's hard to force like a theme on reality TV, I guess, because in essence it's supposed to, it's supposed to be free flowing, and it's supposed to be. I'm not saying that it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're trying to document somebody's relationship, like, how much does the fact of being on television already thwart that natural relationship anyways, right?
Exactly.
So it kind of becomes a show, and then, you want to throw hip-hop in there once in a while because, they're dating like a former rapper 10 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's basically what it is, actually. A bunch of washed-up has-beens. You nailed it on the head. So,
I mean, how much is like hip-hop thriving already within those people? Sure, it's the culture that they grew up with, and that, they hold it dearly, but I mean, hip-hop's not shining, and neither are the relationships. I really don't watch that show because I don't see the value in it.
Casey, just for that, you're getting a cool drop.
Woo! Woo! Thank you.
There you go. All right, so we are going to go to our game portion now, okay? So this is a portion of the show where I like to have fun with the guests. I like to have the audience have fun with the guests, get to know a little bit of their personality, what have you, right? Now, a lot of people may or may not know, but you yourself are a poet as well as a writer too, okay? So based on that, we have a game called Love Jones, all right? Ooh. So for anyone who knows what Love Jones is, or if you don't know what it is a classic film from the 90s that stars Lorenz Tate and the beautiful, ever so lovely Nia Long, who I would quit the game for in a heartbeat. My gosh, she still looks fine as hell. Sorry, that was a little bit thirst on my part. I apologize. But anyways, nonetheless, that movie rather, basically binded those two together with their love of poetry and arts, basically. So, based on that, I have 3 scenarios, and by scenarios I mean couples. Now, these couples are rooted within hip-hop and the arts nonetheless. And I want you to tell me whether you feel as if their marriage or their union is genuine or not. So, in other words, if you feel it's genuine, I want you to give that a Love Jones. If you don't feel it's genuine, I want you to give that a love no, okay?
Okay.
So I have 3 couples, all right? Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Love Jones or love no?
Love Jones all day.
Okay. I like the little swag and the little sexy swag she put into it. Love Jones all day. Okay. Try to get my audience members a little hot and bothered right now. But why do you say Love Jones?
I say Love Jones not because I've really paid much attention to the way the relationship has evolved. I've heard the rumors, the open marriage and other things. But ultimately, I mean, I think that as a character, and that's the most I can speak about Will Smith as, because I don't know him personally, although I wish I did.
Yeah.
Anyways, as a character, he seems like his personality is genuine, and so does his wife. And now, right now, I'm terrible because I'm losing her name. Jada Pinkett Smith. There we go. But,
I didn't hear that.
Oh,
What?
man. She also seems very, very genuine.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that two seemingly genuine people would have a genuine relationship.
Absolutely. All right, next scenario. Jay-Z and Beyonce. Love Jones or love No?
Love Jones.
Okay, and why?
That one's for a different reason, actually.
Okay, please, go on.
Their relationship doesn't, like, them as characters don't seem as genuine just because, like, I feel like they put on, you know, they have their character faces, their show faces,
Yeah.
right? So they give you pieces of them, you know? But once in a while, you know, I'll get a piece from, like, a Beyonce song, and I'm like, this sounds like a genuine moment. Hold on a second. She's talking about, you know, difficulties in her marriage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so you go through real shit. I mean, okay, maybe your relationship, maybe like your vulnerabilities are exposed because you actually care about your relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's those moments that make me think, okay, this might be genuine.
Fair enough. And the final scenario. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Love Jones or love No? Yeah.
I'm actually going to say love genuine because they both seem like such very surface people, like very egotistical people that they might actually match each other.
Oh, wow. So it just cancels out, basically.
Yeah, they might. Like, I don't know, like, the levels on which people who, you know, sort of, like, parade themselves in that way can actually connect with anyone.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if anyone were to do it, I would think it would be two people who are, like, same, right? So they can be like, I know, you know, you act like that, I act like that. We're like two peas in a pod, you know? And that's what I'm thinking for them. That could work. It might be genuine.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. We'll dive into them later on in the show. # spoiler alert. But nonetheless, the final game that we have on today's docket is a mainstay for every guest that comes through in the halls of Cool Radio. I like to call this one I'd Quit the Game.
Every second, every minute, man, I swear that she can get it.
All right, now in this game, as you were describing earlier, you know, you are the eligible bachelorette. You know, you're dating around, you dated some pretty cute guys, you got your career going for you and everything. But there comes a point in time in everyone's life where you've got to settle down. Have some kids, you know, move into the home with the white picket fence with the tire swing, with the apple pie cooling on the windowsill and everything. You got to have that. And that's just when it comes time to quit the game. So out of these two men, which one of them would you quit the game for? Would you quit the game for Idris Elba or Morris Chestnut?
I would definitely quit the game for Morris Chestnut.
Yo, you good? You good? You seemed a little hot and bothered by the one. You just you sweating a little bit. You need a little water because I don't know. It kind of sounds like you're
Dying to thirst, dying to thirst, dying to thirst.
just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I am.
You know, I can't be mad at that. You're just like fanning yourself. You're just like Morris Chestnut.
Because we have a deep relationship that goes back to can play this game.
Oh,
okay?
a lot of girls have a deep relationship with that man since that movie, okay? My goodness, what woman doesn't have a deep relationship with that man since that movie? Him playing alongside Vivica A. Fox, why not, right? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we still have the lovely and talented Casey Bradfield in the building, a.k.a. Inner Beauty CB. We will be here after the commercial break to discuss the latest and greatest that happened this week in hip-hop and pop culture as a whole. You already know what it's called. It's called Trip Talk. But before we do that, we got to get to some tunes. And we got some more Canadian content to get to. This one comes by way of pop soul artist Taya Marquise representing Saga City. And she has a new single out called Obsession off of her Woman EP. So check it out, and we'll be right back after these messages. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM Cool. And you're now tuned into Cool Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. We still got internet blogger and poet, Inner Beauty CB, a.k.a. Casey Bradfield in the building. Say what's up to the people.
Hi, everyone. You
already know. Don't you have a lovely voice, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely stunning. And now, time to talk about the news and notes for the week. You guys have been waiting for it. I've been tweeting it all day. It's time for Trip Talk, people. 3 topics in 3 minutes. With that being said, let's get to it right diggity now, okay? Now, first topic on the list. Nicki Minaj recently put out a music video on YouTube for her song titled Only, featuring Drake and Lil Wayne. Now, in the song, or in the video rather, there were anti-Semitic images that were being displayed. So you had the Young Money symbol stylized like the Nazi symbol. You also had jets flying in the background, atom bombs being dropped, a lot of neo-Nazism being promoted in the video, basically, and she came under fire with that. So she was forced to apologize, quote unquote, for the imagery in the video. So my question to you, Casey, how do you feel about that? Like, I'm not sure if you watched the video, but just hearing that at the very least, like, what's your take on that?
I actually did get a chance to check out the video, and I was like kind of shocked. I was like, oh my goodness, like, because it really is reminiscent of World War II. And, it brings you, like, they're trying to say, like, oh, Young Money is, like, or...
like an army or something like that,
an army, like,
Army of flunkies, sorry.
And I was like, oh, my gosh, like... and then I read the article, and the actual producer of the video was saying, like, listen, like, they asked me to put together a video.
Don't shoot the messenger.
And he's like, a lot of the imagery I inserted but he did say that a lot of the imagery I inserted myself. It was artistic purposes. It didn't have any anti-Semitic, like,
remarks.
Meaning. And so... I was like, man, but no one's taking responsibility. You can't just say, oh, he said, she said, we did.
We were just taking orders.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's so problematic. Like, you have to take ownership of your actions. And even if, like, something that you did accidentally, like, it's hard to say that it's happened accidentally because you had to watch it and approve it.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a second, but go on.
But even if you didn't really understand what you could be implying or, like, you know what I mean? You have to apologize for it. So I'm happy that she did come out. It shouldn't have been... I don't know, you're trying to be different, I get it, but you have to be careful on the ways that your music and your art affects people, and that's a very important thing when it comes to any artistic, any creation that you have.
Any artistic endeavor, as I would say. Now, going back to Nicki, actually, this isn't the first time she's done this year alone. I mean, earlier in the year, she had the Looking Ass track, I think this was called, and basically she was... talking about killing and shooting all types of black guys or whatever, or N-words as you like to call them. But the cover art for that was Malcolm X holding up his iconic picture of him holding up the gun near the windowsill with the "by any means necessary" quote under that. So there's that, and then of course the Anaconda single cover art, and then the video that followed up to it, and now this. So I feel like she's trying to sell her album on shock value, basically. And that's not necessarily the way to go about it, because you want people to take you seriously. That's what she's been trying to say, for the last 6 months, I guess. And basically, you're now doing this. I mean, you have our attention, yes, but I think your message is going to get lost in translation because of the unsubtleties, as I like to call them, basically.
Right. I definitely agree with your point about shock value. But the funny thing is, it's always her images that are shock value. Why can't you open your mouth and say something like shockingly encouraging?
Exactly. There you go. There you go.
Because I can't listen to Nicki Minaj. I can't listen to her, simply because, none of her words are really empowering. And I always look for that, right? So, I mean, it's great that you want to do something empowering by your images. Great. But, like, you can't just do that and back it up with nothingness.
Exactly.
So... if you want to make a statement, Nicki, like, if you're listening to this, which you might be, I don't know. But if you're listening to this, you want to make a statement, like, you really got to just, like, say something meaningful and powerful, and not just with your images. Either do both or don't do nothing at all.
Exactly. And speaking of images, Kim Kardashian made headlines yet again for posing nude. All right. Now, she posed nude for a magazine called Paper, basically. And basically the headline on the cover of the cover basically was "Break the Internet, Kim Kardashian," and lo and behold, she did just that. Now, my reaction to seeing this, I was like, you know what? This is Kim. I'm not surprised. This is her MO. Like, we forget, well, I definitely don't forget, but the general public forgets that she started her career off of a sex tape. She was seen on tape taking pipe. That is how her career started. She was taking pipe like Super Mario, all right? That is how her career started, and it's just gone on there from jump. So me seeing these photos of her rear, of her booty, of her breast out, like, it does not surprise me one bit. Someone said she actually looked like a glazed donut because she's all oiled up and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure Kanye treats her like a glazed donut on a nightly basis, but hey, that's not my business. Where my tea at? But based on those images, like, what's your take on this whole situation with Kim?
Oh my God, I actually just checked that out too. And I read the article, which was like a no-no because it's about absolutely nothing. Yeah, there's no substance to the article.
Such is with a Kardashian.
Exactly. And so I was looking at the pictures and I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm not gonna hate. She has a great body. I think she has a great body.
She does. So I can't even front.
Yeah.
Whether manufactured or not, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, but I mean, she had that sort of Audrey Hepburn, with the black dress and the gloves. And
yeah.
She's trying to you can't associate yourself with that much class.
Yes.
It's a photo shoot, whatever, do what you want, but it didn't, you're not as classy as that, Kim. You are posing nude for attention again, as usual. So it's kind of
I'm just loving that you're saying this because I say this all the time and people think I'm a hater for saying that. So I'm gonna let you do the talking and just prove them wrong right now. So thank you.
It's not just her. I see a lot of women these days who are on Instagram, half naked for attention. And you know what? It's easy to fall into that trap. I'm not going to hate, but we shouldn't do it to ourselves because we don't need to. We have more value than that. And Kim, you're a public icon, but you're not a public role model. And so I think that, when we're looking at these images, we have to keep that in mind.
Thank you so much for preaching the gospel right now. I've been trying to say this to people, and they think I'm the biggest hater because, most of the people that I talk to, Darren, Jamal, but nonetheless, I appreciate you saying that because I feel the same way as well too. I'm not gonna be like the censor police, but at the same time, I'm gonna call out thirst when I see it. At the end of the day, and that's exactly what it is when it comes down to it. And a lot of people, interesting enough, were bearing parallels between her and Sarah Bartman. Basically, Sarah Bartman is a figure from the slave trade era in which she was a black woman who was fully figured. So she had very voluptuous breasts and very voluptuous booty behind. And basically, she was captured and observed as a freak in the carnival, in a carnival, basically, kind of like that, basically. So some of the images, not the images, but some of the poses that she was doing were very reminiscent of that. So a lot of people draw parallels to that. I can understand that. But anyways, people, what do you think about that? Hit me up at DM_cool or cool_radio to deliver your thoughts on that. And finally, and we could talk about that for whole days, but we got a schedule to get to, people. Finally, on today's docket, for Trip Talk, pop artists Jessie J and Ariana Grande have confirmed that they are collaborating with Darkchild to remake the classic R&B duet featuring Brandy and Monica, The Boy Is Mine. When that made news, everyone's lids blew the hell off. Mine kind of almost blew off, but I was kind of tired when I read that story, so I didn't have enough energy to be mad about that. But nonetheless, I can understand why people would be angry about that. Casey, what is your take on that? Are you looking forward to that if it does come to fruition?
I'm not mad at that. I love that song. Brandy and Monica, I grew up on them. I'm an R&B girl all day, every day. And that song is a classic. But I don't consider Ariana Grande and, the other girl, I don't listen to her music that much. I'm really bad, but... That's fine.
I don't listen to Ariana Grande either. I only heard of her because she's dating Big Sean.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
There you go.
They're not big figures on my radar. They're pop artists in my opinion. And so if a pop artist wants to recreate it, the song was so great that it deserves another go. Make it famous again, sure, as long as you give credit to where it's due.
And that's the thing. I don't think there will be credit due to them in that regard. I think people are going to see it as a brand new song altogether because a lot of people in this generation don't realize that song was from 16 years ago. There are people who listen to rap records and don't realize that the samples used for those records were from the 70s and stuff like that. So I feel like it's going to be the same thing in this situation. Also, I feel like if you're going to recreate that song, fine, but get someone within that genre to recreate, to capture the essence and the soul of it. I don't feel as if Jessie J and Ariana Grande are the two people to do it. I just don't feel it's
right.
like that.
It is a little surprising when you think, okay, what do you have to do with this culture, this rich culture of R&B?
Yes.
Ariana Grande, she sort of tries to push the limit on what's R&B and what's pop, but I consider her a pop artist. And Jessie J, I believe she's the same thing. Yeah,
she's more of a UK pop artist. So the UK pop is somewhat of a different sound than it is in America.
Yeah. So of course I would like to see I don't know, who is really representing R&B these days.
But that's the question, though. No one really is.
That's the problem.
That is, the dichotomy that we have reached. So should we really be mad that we're getting these two pop stars to do it because we don't have any representation within the R&B field? That's kind of like the catch-22 in that.
That is, yeah.
So
I can't really hate on it, even though it's not my ideal situation.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on now. It's time for the Throwback Thursday track of the day. Let's get old school for a minute, shall we? That's right, people. Let me know what track you want to hear for Throwback Thursday each and every week. Hit me up at DM_cool for that. And as I said, previously, the month of November is dedicated to R&B, right? So this whole entire month, we will be playing your favorite R&B classics. And today's classic, what better way to segue from a segment about Jessie J and Ariana Grande remaking The Boy Is Mine? Let's remind the listeners at home what the real version sounds like. The 1998 version, the one with Mekhi Phifer choosing between two of the most beautiful women R&B has ever seen, and I wish I was that man in that video because I would have been having a blast. But nonetheless, let's get into it. This is Brandy and Monica with The Boy Is Mine. Keep it locked. This is Cool Radio, and after the break, we will be back with the Wankster of the Week, so keep it locked. Yeah.
It's your man, Chris Godrock.
What's up, my family? It's Maliki and Sweet Senorita.
It's your boy, Dirty Girl. This is All Mills from the Critics. I just finished my interview at C.O.O.L Radio, and I'm just letting you guys know that you guys need to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. because this place is wild.
Of course! Don't touch that dial.
You miss your diss. You understand? Keep it locked.
Yes, yo. Welcome back to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE Radio 91.9 FM. It's your man, GM Cool. And you are back with Cool Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. I still have the lovely and talented Inner Beauty CB, a.k.a. Casey Bradfield, in the building. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, everyone.
There you go. And now it's the time that you all have been waiting for. It's time where we roast the people who did the most this week. I'm talking about Wankster of the Week. Let's drop that. All right. So Wankster of the Week goes to none other than... That was my drum roll. I don't know why I did that. But anyways, Wankster of the Week goes none other to Leslie McSpadden. Now, a lot of people are wondering, who is Leslie McSpadden? She is the mother of slain teen victim Mike Brown, okay? Now, we're giving her the Wankster of the Week because she was charged for allegedly, basically, putting a beat down on a couple of vendors who were selling T-shirts of Mike Brown for profit. Now, let me paint the picture for you guys, okay? So basically what happened was she, along with the grandmother of Mike Brown, along with about 20 other people or so, saw a vendor that was selling, Mike Brown paraphernalia for about $20 to $30 roughly. They saw the stand, they saw what they were doing, and basically decided to just rush the whole operation altogether. Now, a police report quoted her as saying, quote, "You can't sell this shit." And the grandmother said in the police report, quote, "You don't know my grandson like that. I'm going to tear this shit down." Now, this is where the wankster comes in. I understand that you are mad at the fact that someone is profiting off of your loss, basically. But at the same time, there are ways to go about this. You don't take it to the streets and rush them down like you are Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, shaking down everyone for property money. You do not do that. That is a no-no. If you're smart about it, you would go up to that vendor and ask them, where are the proceeds going to? That's the first question you ask them. If they say that it's going to some charitable event or charitable organization, you ask them for the proof, the credentials. If they show you that, cool. If not, you could try and bargain with them and say, "Hey, you're selling merchandise off of the loss of my son. I know you're creating awareness for this, but at the same time, there's profit to be made from this. So let's work together, and that way we can have the proceeds of that profit go towards an organization that could benefit from this." You could do that too. If all else fails, you could sue them for racketeering and for using your name without any clearance whatsoever. You could have done any of those three things, but instead, your 34-year-old ass who was wearing rocking a red weave that looked like Clifford the Red Dog decided to rush her stand as if this is Def Jam Fight for New York. You don't do this. You don't take it to the streets. The police took it to the streets with your son. Don't repeat what they did to some people who are trying to profit off of them. Sure, you don't know what they did, but you're assuming that they're using that just for their own funds, and you can assume that all you want, but you have to ask the right questions. You have to find out. You have to investigate. And with that being said, I'm sorry, but for a 34-year-old woman and a grandmother as well, too, who got involved with the whole fiasco in the first place, you guys got some growing up to do, and you guys are getting this wankster. I'm sorry. Rest in peace to your son, but you are not doing anything at all to strengthen the memory and the legacy of your son, and you are just making what he died for look to be in vain, because at the end of the day, your behavior was uncouth and it was uncalled for. Do you deserve this wankster? Of course you do. So with that being said, I got to drop it one more time. Let's hear 50 speak. Had to be said. What more can I say? Inner beauty. Was there any inner beauty in this at all whatsoever? Please, your take.
Oh man, you're just skating on dangerous waters over there.
It's what I do each week. What can I say? I'm Chrissy Yamaguchi in this biatch.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I've only lost my cat. Okay, and
Yeah.
that was an emotional experience for me. Like, when I lost my cat, I was crying. I was. I'm not embarrassed. And I
Fair enough.
I felt really sad. So I can imagine, losing my child in a traumatic way, if I had a child, would tear me apart. So maybe I'm being devil's advocate here, but, sometimes you lose your head, and it doesn't necessarily mean, you're scarred for life and you're a bad person, but emotional situations can have you on your head as long as you recognize maybe you acted wrongly, you apologize. There's ways to redeem yourself.
Exactly.
I don't know if I would call them a wankster, but I mean, decisions are already made. Let's just see how they deal with it.
Exactly. And my thing was, I wouldn't have given it to them, but based on what has happened with that story, the way they have spun Mike Brown to be somewhat of a loose cannon, or he was, a degenerate of sorts, based on the way that some of these media outlets are spinning the way your son was in that moment in time, especially right before it happened when he was kind of roughing up the convenience store clerk. It's like, you're already working against the grain to like help rectify the image of your son. So you acting the way you did, along with your grandmother, is not helping. It's like one step forward, 3 steps back. So, and being an adult as well, too, like a near middle-aged adult, and the grandmother, come on, like, you've seen your fair share of shit, basically. I'm sorry, but I had no choice but to give them that wankster. So, it is what it is from that standpoint. Agree or disagree, hit me up at DM_cool or cool_radio to give me your thoughts. But we've reached the end of the show, so before we go, Casey, what do you have coming up in the future?
You can look forward to more writing on my blog. I plan on doing more speaking events and just really encouraging women and men and young people to talk about their relationships and to improve themselves. So I'll always be doing that over at TorontoRelationships.com. Check me out.
Absolutely. And I was about to ask you where they can find the website, but you just said it, so perfect. But where can the people find you social media wise?
I'm on Instagram, InnerBeautyCB. I'm also on Twitter as InnerBeautyCB. I have a Facebook page, Facebook.com/Toronto Relationships. There's many ways. Check out my website. All my links are there.
And there you go. So once again, Casey, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you are welcome to come through anytime. All right?
I might just come every day and just stand outside this glass window and just watch you because you're so amazing at what you do, and I had such a great time.
You're too kind. Shucks. But I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate the compliments. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, you already know where you can catch me, man. DM_cool on Twitter, cool_radio on Twitter as well too. Catch you on Instagram at cool4thought, the number 4. You already know how it is. And next week we have hip hop artist LC in the building, so keep on the lookout for that. And before I sign off, let me just say this. Go Raptors go. I don't know what the score is right now, but they're playing Chicago on TNT right now. That's huge. That's exposure for people who don't know who the Raptors are. So hashtag We the North. So with that being said, it is your man, DM Cool. Keep it gravy wavy, people. We are out of here. Peace.